other colleague, Miss Michelle, go ahead and talk to us or give us a few updates on what's going on in terms of COVID-19 here in California. But before that, or actually, we can go ahead and start with that, if that's okay with you, Ms. Michelle.
Sure, no problem. Sorry, I'm operating on two different platforms right now, um, and so I'm just making sure it's recording. So hi everyone. For those of the panelists, hi, I'm Michelle Ednicott. I'm the program manager for CHAMPS. Thank you, alumni who are also on here. Thank you, students. Thank you, staff, as we continue on with our fun virtual Wednesdays for COVID-19. So today, our mayor, Gavin Newsom, here in California, he had a meeting, he had an announcement not to do with any changes to shelter in place. So as far as I know it, we are still sheltering in place here, specifically in the Bay Area until May the 4th. It's still sheltering in place no matter what you hear in other states and maybe other areas on other parts of California, or maybe what you've seen. The new thing is that everyone has to be, when they are outside in public, still doing social distancing and then covering, having your face covered, whether you're walking or not. So people are getting fined. I heard on the news, it was said that folks even in Pacifica were going to the beach. You can't go further than 5 miles from your home. You will be asked, you will be stopped, and possibly asked to show your ID of where you live. You can get fined up to $1,000 if you are caught not covered or not social distancing for 5 miles outside of your home or even within the area. So, and up to 90 days in jail. Just an FYI. Also, there's also fun things on the internet to show you how to make a mask with a handkerchief and hair ties. So look for that stuff as well. Be safe. Let us know if you guys have any questions or concerns. We're here to support you. So that's the latest and the greatest out of COVID right now. There is the whole ups and downs. So we're not exactly at a plateau just yet. And so not to worry anybody, but just keep on keeping on with this new normal for now. And then the new thing is the whole covering. Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you, Ms. Michelle, for that quick update. So like she mentioned, hopefully everyone is, with this whole COVID-19 going on, hopefully people are still staying safe and healthy at home, or at least trying to be those as safe as possible. But let's go ahead and get started. So again, this is going to be our quick agenda. We're going to go over the, CHAMPS welcome. So welcome everybody who's here today. I'm really excited to have you all here. We're going to be going over a few updates. For example, individual staff office hours, a few announcements, and then also a few assignments for the sophomores, juniors, and current seniors. We're going to go ahead and hopefully use most of our time to go ahead and meet our panelists and have them go ahead and share about their experiences today. So that way y'all can all get to know them a little bit better, and then hopefully get your questions answered, or any concerns or myths that you want to debunk that hopefully they have more insight on. Hopefully they can go ahead and take care of everyone here today. And then, of course, we would have to wrap up and have our goodbyes, but hopefully towards the end, like we mentioned in the beginning, we'll have some network time if possible, and if people are able to do so, you guys are all welcome. Again, if you know anyone else of your peers or any other alumni that you feel like would benefit or would like to join, feel free to go ahead and send them the link and have them join us. So to continue moving forward, these are some of our CHAMPS staff office hours. So again, I do want to give a huge shout out to Kavya and Steven, our current HSI interns. And as if you guys can go ahead and see, these are the current office hours as of today. So please go ahead if you want, take a screenshot, or I know we have been sending these out throughout our Monday mailers, which you should all be getting. If for whatever given reason you have not been receiving any emails from us, please go ahead and either shoot one of ours a quick mail or a quick chat. So then that way we update the email that we should be sending the information to. So I will give you guys a few more seconds just to jot down Stephen and Kavya's office hours if you need to. I don't know if Kavya and Steven want to mention anything. Have y'all had any students drop by as of now, or maybe texted y'all? I know y'all have been wanting to have students contact y'all, so go ahead and let them know.
Sure, yeah. So we had one student come in today for a quick like 10-minute check-in. So you guys can like ask us anything related to like college, or like if you're struggling with homework, or if you just want to like check in. We're kind of here for you. We'll be on Zoom for like an hour every Wednesday, and then also like we're available through text and email. I don't know if Stephen had anything to add.
Thanks, Kavya.
Yeah.
Steven, did you want to add anything else?
No, that was great, Kavya. She pretty much covered everything. Yeah, like she said, we're available at those times if you ever want to talk about literally anything. So, yeah, just let us know and hope to see you on Zoom.
All right, thank y'all. And then let's keep moving forward. Here are Ms. Michelle, Mr. Pita, and of course my office hours as well. So if you guys want to go ahead and chat with us or have any questions in terms of anything really going on, or I know some of y'all may be getting bored, staying at home, don't have anything else to do, you have an extra hour free, you might want to hop on the office hours through Zoom. Maybe you can, I don't know, we'll figure something out as in terms as to what we can talk about, or we can just, you know, hopefully try and plan out something for, you know, the near future. But again, I'll give you guys a few seconds. I don't know if Ms. Lupita or Ms. Michelle want to chime in terms of like anything in addition to your office hours or any updates.
I just, yeah, I'm on from 3 to 5 on Mondays and Tuesdays. I didn't get anybody yesterday or Monday, but that's okay. I know like Mondays are kind of hectic because that's when a lot of you guys get your assignments on those days, but sometimes questions do come up, so I'm happy to help in any way. You might see that I turn off my camera and my voice, so don't just stay on the line because I just do that in case I'm doing something, but my it ding dongs on me, so I'll know. So yeah, we'll keep doing that.
Thanks, Michelle.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, to add to that, definitely, I know that's what we're, at least that's what I'm also going to be doing. Like, I'm going to have the Zoom meeting open so that way y'all can go ahead and like just log on. If for whatever reason you don't see me right off the bat, I'll make sure I'll have my camera off at the moment and probably also the mic. But after I hear the chime as well, I'll go ahead and open it up so that we can actually have the virtual meeting. But aside from that, so hopefully y'all got to see our office hours. And then I do want to have a few community announcements that I know some of your peers have mentioned. So Target is still, I believe, still looking for hires. So the applications are online. If for whatever reason, some of the announcements that we have here have either stopped, or if you have new announcements you would like to share with us, feel free to add them on the chat so that way we can also highlight them. But again, Nations in downtown Oakland is hiring as well. Amazon is hiring in San Leandro. They're looking for drivers and packagers. Whole Foods and Safeway are also hiring. And also just remember that to keep checking the Monday mailer, so then that way any new updates that we receive, we try to make sure that every Monday we update that Monday mailer list. So although you may be seeing some things that are very similar, hopefully you will be seeing some updates every Monday. And yeah, so make sure you keep checking the categories on the Monday mailer. By any chance, does anyone want to add any announcements that we did not talk about as of now? All right. If you do, like I mentioned, just go ahead, or if you're shy, go ahead and just add them on the chat and we'll go ahead and like touch base around that. All right. In terms of winter internship evaluations, I want to go ahead and extend a huge thank you to the following students for completing this online form. As y'all can see right now, hopefully on the presentation. So I thank y'all for submitting or completing the winter internship evaluations. We still are wanting for y'all to go ahead and submit them by May 6th. So that gives y'all, I believe, roughly 2 weeks to go ahead and submit them. And then also we are waiting for those of you that did have or were able to participate in a CHAMPS rotation right before this all happened. Please also try and submit your supervisor thank you letters, so then that way we can also send them their way. I do believe that would be, they would definitely appreciate that, especially given the circumstances that everyone's going on with. So thank you all for completing your winter internship evaluations. again, for in terms of the COVID-19 response survey. So again, thank you all for the 47 CHAMPS students who were able to complete that as of today. Um, I I don't believe we're still collecting them. Ms. Michelle, are we still collecting them?
I will still collect them. I think it's
Okay.
still important to know from you guys, or if like, yeah, hopefully everyone on this Zoom already has. But I think it would be helpful for us to know what kind of resources you guys do have and what resources we can provide help with. So if you haven't, it's really quick. It's 9 questions. A lot of it is multiple choice, and yeah. So please do. It'll stay open.
All right, thank you for that, Ms. Michelle. So again, if you haven't already done so, please make sure you go ahead and submit the COVID-19 response survey. Now to talk about a few assignments. So obviously all the assignments will be via online. As of now, the COVID-19 response survey is overdue. So if you can, please try and make sure, and if you haven't done so already, make sure you go ahead and submit that. We have the internship evaluation, like I mentioned earlier, it is due in 2 weeks. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you go ahead and submit that one as well. Supervisor thank you letters, again, due May 6th. So please get those out of the way because on its way right now, we have a post survey that we're gonna be mailing out soon or via email, and also an end of the year evaluation as well. And we may possibly have a grant funder survey that we will also be sending out. I know some of you seniors and juniors may recognize it. So, we always have, periodically we have these surveys that we have to additionally also complete. And then for seniors, so I know not all the seniors, at least from what I'm seeing right now, we have had some new people come on to the Zoom. So thank you all for joining us. But if you know someone that should be or that could benefit again from this information, especially seniors, we will also be sending out the graduation form and also a tax form that you will need to complete shortly or within the next, hopefully, I don't know if by this week or next week, but make sure you keep checking your email so then that way you guys get to complete that. And then also, you guys can get your what you will be earning at the end of completing CHAMPS. Any other information? In terms of assignments, Ms. Michelle, Mr. Pita, Stephen, Kavya? No? All right. Now, I just wanted to highlight the Selfie CHAMPS Challenge to give thanks to our CHAMPS, not just staff, but also our supervisors. So if you haven't done so already, or if you're thinking about doing so as well, show your appreciation to your supervisors or just the hospital staff in general. Put on your CHAMPS blue coat if you have one, or at least, I don't know if it's okay for them to wear their ID badge. Would that be fine? Okay, so that would be fine. So if you want to also have your ID badge on there with like a quick message saying just thank you, or I hope you guys are staying safe during COVID-19, I think, again, our staff would, not just our staff, but also the people in the hospital would definitely appreciate that. So if you haven't done so already, feel free to send those in. I don't know if we've received any so far, but we've received one. So I don't know if they want to be highlighted right now. I don't know who that person is, but if you do want to highlight yourself, or if you're here with us today, thank y'all for going ahead and sending that in today or within the past few days. Up next, this is, okay, so this was this week's CHAMPS Challenge. And so technically you guys had to send us a picture of your post-high school or your future college plans. And you had to send it to this email right here, champs.oakland@gmail.com. For seniors, we were asking if you were able to send us where you were planning on going to next year or what were you planning on doing. And also, congratulating you on your acceptances. And then for juniors and sophomores, we were asking y'all to send us in anything in terms of like your dream college or again, any future plans that you would have or that you were thinking about after high school. And we also mentioned that if you were feeling a bit extra and if you wanted to, get a little bit more creative and, spend a little bit more time on doing so, you could actually go to this link. And I believe Kavya was able to like find this thing, which was really cool. And hopefully, if you haven't done so already, I think we could still accept them because I mean, we could always share them more because I did want to go ahead and highlight a few of the students. So hopefully you all are here in the Zoom meeting. So that way you guys can get some, some love from the images. So here they go, okay? Oh, but before that, I also just wanted to highlight some of the students that did respond to the CHAMPS challenge. So again, as of now, the people highlighted in blue are our seniors. The people highlighted in green are our juniors, and the people highlighted in orange are our quick sneak peek are our sophomores. But so going down the line with our seniors, as of now, from the last I heard, our Roberto is going to be attending San Francisco State. Mia is going to be attending Hampton University. Amy will be attending UC Davis. So if y'all want to clap or snap, it's all appreciated. Delana is going to be attending UC Merced. Emily Rios is going to be attending Humboldt State University. And Ashley will be attending College of Alameda. And if you haven't been highlighted, or if you're not on this list as of now, it's because I haven't, or we haven't received a response yet. But we would definitely want to highlight you. So make sure you go ahead and submit that information to us. Again, we will be sending more towards the seniors. Like I mentioned, a form that you will have to, or a senior form that you'll have to submit with more of this detailed information. But just keep an eye out for that on your email. Continuing on with our juniors, in terms of their dream colleges, Anaya wants to attend CSUN, or California State University of Northridge. Nancy wants to attend UC Davis. Ana Pantoja would like to attend either Mills College or UC Davis. Stephanie would like to attend Stanford. And then, so again, hopefully these are some of the dream colleges that they're interested in, as well as Amy. In terms of our sophomores, Amy would like to attend Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Amber UC Berkeley, Nahani UCLA, UC Berkeley, or UC Davis, Zaki UCLA, and Guadalupe UC Santa Cruz and/or San Jose State. So again, thank you all for submitting that information. I'll go ahead and we'll still be accepting some of your responses. So if you feel free to go ahead and submit those. Now, in terms of some of the artwork that was shared with us, this is Jenny's Dream Schools. So this is via the link that she was able to go ahead and create. We have a few more that sent them in as well. This is Nicholas. So as y'all can see, he would like to attend UCLA from what I'm seeing. So that's his dream college. Here, this one was really cool. I really like the Patrick on the bottom, which is definitely real. So hopefully we can get some tips on that via our panelists, or just anyone who would like to chime in terms of how to pay for or afford college. And then here are a few other examples that were submitted in terms of dream colleges, what they would like to see: huge libraries, a community, research opportunities, and then from what I believe, I think there being snow, and then also grassy areas from, I believe, Xochitl Gonzalez. And then again from Aisha, these are some of her post high school college plans: just to have fun in college, experience a full college life, obviously graduate, succeed in their major, get good grades, make friends, and just be happy. So thank y'all ladies for submitting those. Here, this one is from Ali Cazares. So again, thank y'all for submitting these. And this one's from Clarissa. So again, for her, she did it in a way where she was already a bit more focused on what type of school she wanted to go into in terms of it being a small, medium school size. And she found out that she would like to either apply to Mills College, Whittier College, or Lawrence University. So thank y'all again for submitting those. We definitely appreciate your engagement and taking the time to go ahead and compile this, because at the end of the day, this will help you in terms of like your future decisions on deciding where you would like to attend. So hopefully that was not too long of you guys hearing me already, but you guys won't be hearing from me for too long, because now we're going to go ahead and welcome our college graduate panelists, which we can have a round of applause. I don't know if you guys are all here yet in terms of our panelists. I believe you all are. And so I believe we're going to have Tanya Enriquez go ahead and go first. So hopefully, can you give me a thumbs up? You've been able to see the PowerPoint, right? Because I'm going to have, okay, your slides next. So again, Tanya, you can go ahead and take it away. As of now, students or whoever's joined our Zoom meeting, just make sure that you unmute yourself or keep it as it is so far. If you do have questions, feel free to either unmute yourself and ask them, or you can go ahead and just type them on the chat. For now, we can go ahead and have her complete her presentation. And afterwards, once she finishes, we can go ahead and open it up for a quick Q&A. But then we'll continue moving on. So then that way all the champs panel, all the panelists can go ahead and introduce themselves, and then we'll open up for a huge Q&A. Does that sound good? All right. So go ahead on, Tanya, you can go ahead and take it away. Thanks again for joining us today.
So hello, everyone. My name is Tanya Enriquez, and I have a special guest with me, my sister. I bring her in because she also has like valuable college experience, and she also went to community college, so that's also a little bit different from our journeys. But my pronouns are she, her, hers, and first of all, I want to hope everyone is doing well during these times. I know these are very, very weird, awkward times, and I'll talk a little bit about how my own schooling right now is going on. So, yeah.
All right.
So please feel free to ask questions. So, yeah, I'll start off with my family. As you can see, my sister's in there. But a little bit about my family, like both of my parents immigrated from Durango, Mexico, that's where they're originally from, to Oakland, which we're in right now, back in like 1993, with the help of my aunt and uncle that already were living here. And so as you can see, I pointed it out, that's my uncle, and then that's my aunt and my mom and my dad. And they're all my cousins and my cousin's cousins, so we have a really big family here in the Bay. So yeah, neither of my parents went to college, or my aunt and uncle, so they always instilled that education is really, really important in order for us to get ahead. And knowing that they made like so many sacrifices for me and my sister to have like a better future, like that was one of my key kind of like driving points for me to like obtain like a higher education and stick through it until now, which I'll talk a little bit more. So a little bit more about me. I was born here in Oakland, but also due to my parents' deportation when I was in 5th grade, I also lived in their hometown of Durango, Mexico, for all of like middle school. And so my parents and my sister and I all moved there. I found out that I had a lot more family than what I had in the Bay Area. And there's like a little picture of Durango. That's like the, yeah, on the right side. It's a small-ish town. But yeah, so that's where I went for middle school. And then after middle school, I came back to the US, and my aunt and uncle were living in San Leandro at the time. So that's where I lived with them. I came back at 14, but my sister, Bibi, and my parents stayed in Mexico. So my sister spent a lot more time in Durango than I did. But yeah, so I came back with my aunt and uncle, and they had a power of attorney. So they weren't necessarily like adopting me or anything, but they just had like a power of attorney to make sure that I was able to go to school, and that they wouldn't get in trouble basically for like bringing me over here or bringing me back. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And Carlos, do you want to say? Okay. And so like I said, my aunt and uncle were living in San Leandro at the time. So they were taxpayers, and they're like, well, you're gonna go to San Leandro High because that's our option. And I was completely fine with it. San Leandro High is a huge, huge school. At San Leandro High, I had like extracurricular activities that I kept myself busy with. So I was part of EAOP, short for Early Academic Outreach Program, which later I worked for after college. Being in that program, it helped me with having like summer opportunities. So I was able to take classes at UC Berkeley when I was a junior, and they have other college related workshops. We had a college advisor, which later she became my my manager, and I was also part of class board. I think Diego, which is the other panelist, we went to the same high school. I don't know if he was in college board too, can't remember. But that's me. I circled my face on the float. So college board was kind of like, we did all like the fun activities, I guess you can say. I was also part of like musicals and plays for some odd reason. I got really into it in high school, not anymore, but I was really into it in high school. And then that's also me dancing in the like bottom right. I don't know if y'all can see that. And then I was also part of like Latino Sonidos and College Bound Club. Some of the strengths is that I had a really supportive like family. So my aunt and uncle were very supportive throughout like my whole high school career. Some of the challenges were that I was far away from like my parents and my sister, and I didn't get to see them. But I think my days were always packed, so which was like a challenge. But then I guess now thinking about it, it is also a strength because it kept me busy, and it kept my mind busy from everything going on, not being able to be with them. So yeah, so that was just a general overview of like high school. After high school, I attended UC Santa Cruz, go Banana Slugs. Some of the challenges were, I think going to a new space, like I felt like I didn't belong, I missed home, but being back in the Bay Area, I struggled with like studying and definitely like the quarter system. My major was sociology, and I knew that from the beginning. I was one of the first, or one of the few people that kind of stuck through their major throughout the 4 years of college, but I know that's not the case for a lot of people. I definitely got involved with EOP in the beginning because I started, EOP stands for Educational Opportunity Program. Wait, am I saying that right? Mm-hmm. I get all my acronyms confused at this point. Yeah, so I was there and they helped me with like a upperclassman mentor. And I think that was really helpful because they made sure that I stayed on track. And if I was struggling with something, like they helped me a lot. And so that's why I want to highlight them specifically, because I think without them, I don't think I could have made it throughout the 4 years of college. And I know Raul, which is also another panelist, he was also part of EOP with me. So that's how we met. Aside from EOP, I was also very involved in Folklorico with Los Mexicas. I was involved in like research with like a professor. And then I also had a job as a nanny throughout college. I really, really enjoyed it because it took my mind off of some other stuff from like college. College is really, really difficult. But luckily, like I had some really good support systems that I kind of had to seek out. So that's the one thing, like you have to be proactive about seeking out these resources. They don't just sometimes lend. Some of them do and some of them don't. And then lastly, like I was a little bit involved in like resident government council as well. And then I think this part, I think you want to kind of tie in your community college to college part.
So I graduated high school, the same high school as her, as San Leandro High School. But my case was a little bit different because I was struggling a lot because of the changing locations, like going from Mexico and then coming here was like a totally different challenge, and where I was not a lot of like known for like being in English language a lot. So I started struggling because of that. But so my grades were okay, but not in a way that I can apply to a 4-year school and I get accepted. So they told me that if you go to community college, it was like a second chance or a second like way to like really make sure that your grades are enough, right, to be able to make sure that you are qualified for a 4-year school. So I went to Laney College in 2015, and I graduated 2 years after because that was a plan. So I didn't know a lot about giving a good advice, and it was to make sure that it's only 2 years specifically. So I do recommend community college because yes, we always talked about our experience in college, and it's a little bit different. And yes, for her it was 4 years, and it's just like community college is a little bit different because I feel that you have a little bit less stress because it's not that much expensive than a 4 year school. So I didn't pay for nothing, unfortunately. Like I didn't pay for nothing during my oh yeah, and I'm involved in track. So I was hoping I can get a scholarship right away at the beginning of the 2017. So I actually got a scholarship full ride to SF State, and I got yeah. So me and my sister was always talking about like how much is like really expensive to go to college, and I'm just like, yeah, I can't relate. Like I worked hard for it.
But that doesn't happen often. She's an athlete. I'm not, but yeah, you're still
yeah. But I still like that opportunity. Like I'm telling a lot of kids, and not even kids, like teenagers that are like wanted to experience 4 year school, and I'm like, yeah, it's okay to just go to like community college. It's fine, because at the end of the day, it's more a little bit cheaper than a lot of people are doing now. They're going, instead of going to 4 year like right away after graduating from high school, they prefer to go to community college, graduating after 2 years, and then automatically go to 4 year school. 4 year school. So I do recommend it.
Thank you for sharing that.
Well, you're welcome.
Let's move on. Continue on.
So now I'll talk a little bit about like post-graduation. Oh, was there a question, Carlos?
Oh no, you're good.
Oh. Post-graduation from Santa Cruz, I became a college advisor with UC Berkeley's like EOP and DCAC, and that's how I met Carlos, because we were both college advisors. I served 2 years at my old high school, so I served 2 years at San Leandro High. And then I recently completed, well, not recently, a couple months ago, like more than half a year ago, completed like 1 year at Emory High School in Emeryville. And so I really enjoyed the college access work that I did with at both of those schools. And then on top of that, like this wasn't part of my job description necessarily, but I was fortunate enough to be allowed to be a co-advisor with like Latinx or like Latinx Unidos, like at San Leandro High and at Emory High. And so I served like as a co-mentor for the club. And then the organization like really focused on like low income first gen ethnic minorities, and that's what really drew me to the job, and I knew I really wanted to do that job. Oh, and then I have a little crown on my friend Jessica. I don't know if you can see her, she's really small, but she's one of the key people that helped me get into grad school. Like she really sat me down and made me apply to grad school. And so I'm very thankful for her. Aside from like a coworker, she's like a really great friend.
Good.
Yeah. So then currently, I talked about like the amazing support and help that I got from different people to get to where I am now. I know it's like, woo, all these things happen in like 2-minute presentation. But yeah, so I got the help of really great people. Right now, I go to UCLA. I'm in the Masters of Student Affairs program. But right now, you know, it's Zoom University for me, and I know for a lot of people, because I'm taking my classes through Zoom and online. And my internship is as an assistant resident director. So part of our program is that all of us have an internship, and so that's mine. So I get to live on campus. One of the great perks about my internship is that I'm able to live on campus for free. And so without that, I don't think I could have afforded grad school. I probably had to take out a lot of loans, but luckily, like I haven't taken out any. With the amount of money I was able to save from college advising, and then with like a little bit help from my parents, but it's more like a loan, like I'm gonna be able to pay them back. So yeah, so right now grad school looks a little bit different because now I'm kind of moved halfway. I moved some of my stuff back to Oakland, but I still have some of my stuff over there because I'm gonna go back at some point, but we'll see. And as of now, like I'm still trying to finish up my master's. Hopefully I'm done. Well, we're not really gonna have a graduation. I don't know what's happening with that, but my graduation was supposed to be June 12th. And yeah, I don't know what my job will be, but that's fine. I still have a lot of time to look, I guess.
All right. Then I believe this is the last slide for yours, Tanya.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah, so I kind of narrowed my advice to like, that should have been a 4 instead of a 3, and I just realized. But
Right.
one was to find like your community on campus. I know it's easier said than done, and a lot of like what we're saying is a lot easier, way easier said than done. But looking around your campus, like on and off campus involvement, definitely ask for help like when you need it. Get familiar with like different resources that the university has to offer. A lot of it you're paying for. And I don't think people realize that a lot of your tuition and fees goes to all these programs that are supposed to help you, and we don't take advantage of this, and I'll include myself in it. And 3, like go at your own pace. Just focus on yourself and like your journey, and like really don't compare yourself to like others. And 4 would be like, don't forget your roots, like, and that would be more like an optional advice. Like I think it comes down to you personally. But I know for me, it was really important to bring back that knowledge into like my own community that I work for. And I think it's part of yours too. But, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Tanya, for sharing, and also your sister, Bibi.
Yeah.
So thank you. Round of applause for you both.
Thank you.
Again, if you do have any questions, I would say right now let's keep them on hold for a while, or if you want to go ahead and share them on the chat, do so. Maybe Tanya can go ahead and like respond through there, and then we can highlight them towards the end. But this is also Tanya's contact information, or at least her email. So if you do have any more questions, or you're interested in going into UC Santa Cruz as for an undergrad, or maybe even have questions in terms of her master's program that you want to go or dive deeper in, you can always go ahead and like, reach out to her as well. So thank you, Tanya, for being here with us today. And let's go ahead and, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say thanks for having me.
Oh, no worries. Thank you for joining us. And also your sister, thank you for adding that valuable information as well. So I guess we can go ahead and move forward with Raul, I believe is next. So Raul, are you in the house today?
Yeah, I am. Hey, what's up?
All right, good to see you, man. So again, just let me go. Let me know when you want me to go ahead and move forward with the PowerPoint.
Okay, sounds great. I am outside, so if you hear some background noise, it's probably cars passing by, even though my background is a fake background. So yeah, just let me know if you can hear me or if you can't hear me.
Sounds perfect from my end, so it's good.
Yeah, so I hope everyone's doing well. I know it's crazy times currently, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, so the first slide is obviously that's a picture of me. So I'll start off introducing myself. I'm a first generation low income Latino male, and that's kind of who I identified as throughout my educational journey. And those are like 3 key components of who I am today. And yeah, you can go to the next slide. So the first picture on the left is my family. It's a picture. We were in Jalosotitlan, which is a small pueblo or town in the state of Jalisco, Mexico. I know I just shared I'm a first generation, first in my family to go to college, first in my family to go to UC. I'm also first generation literate. So my dad and my mom weren't able to go to school in Mexico. My mom was able to go up to 3rd grade actually, but very, very low schooling, and it's not because they didn't want to, it was a lack of opportunity. So they always kind of like stress that. Like they always stress the importance of going to school. Um, and they didn't have the opportunity, so they just kind of always made it important for me being in the United States throughout my entire educational journey to sorry, there was a car passing by. They just kind of made it important for me to go to school, just because they never had that opportunity. And yeah, just I'm a big believer in lifelong learning, and something that even though I'm currently not in school, it's something that I still believe you can learn in many different ways in your life, whether it's not like through formal education. There's a lot of things you can learn like informally through your family, and just just keeping your mind and your eyes open to things that the world kind of teaches you. Um, the middle picture, and so yeah, my family, that's a big important piece of who I am. Um, and the middle picture is the main church in Jalos. It's called the Plaza, or it's kind of like the city center, or the Pueblo Center. And that's Jalos Totitlan in a nutshell. Like every year there's a big fiestas and stuff, and I like going to them because it reminds me of how different it is, and how different it was for my parents compared to the opportunities that I have now here in the U.S. And that's kind of a picture of what it looks like during the main fiestas in Jalos Totitlan. And then the bottom picture is a picture of my family soccer team, which was roughly about 10 years ago. And it was at BLG. We were able to win the league that season. So it's soccer and religion are a big components of who I am today. And then the last picture is the Pioneer Jackson Triangle remains the poorest area in Hayward. It's kind of like a news article. That's where I was raised and have lived throughout my entire life. It's in Jackson Triangle in Hayward. So that's kind of where I'm from. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. My K through 12 educational experiences. So these are the schools I went to: Bowman Elementary School, Cesar Chavez Middle School, and Tennyson High School in Hayward. I never considered myself a good student, and I'm gonna mute myself because there's a car passing. So I never considered myself a quote unquote good student, whatever that means. I've actually struggled most of my educational journey, and it's specifically I always struggled up until high school. So elementary school, middle school, I was never really good at. I never really got good grades. Wasn't good at reading. Never did homework, and all that fun stuff. I kind of placed more importance on sports. In the third grade, though, I can remember a teacher telling me, "Okay, you're not gonna if you don't improve your reading, you won't succeed. Basically, you won't be anyone." And that for me kind of always has sticked out, and has always been like when I was struggling in college, or when I was struggling in high school, or in my master's program. Like I can still remember the teacher and that experience, and it always kind of pushed me when I felt burnt out, or and it was kind of just like a motivating thing for me. Middle school, I have no idea what happened in middle school. It's like a complete blur for me. The only thing I do remember from middle school is that I wanted to be in the AVID program, and just being told that I wasn't able to, because I believe there were only able to have about 30 students or so in the AVID program, and so it wasn't an opportunity I was able to have. In high school, like I said, I won attendance in high school in Hayward. I joined the Puente program, and that's when I finally felt like connected to my education, learning about like Latino culture and Latino literature, learning about Latino authors and things that I could actually relate to. And I had a great high school counselor, Miss Rios, and Mr. Guerrero, who played like key components of me going to college. Because obviously my parents didn't go to college, and they had no idea how to help me in that sense. And so I was the first in my family. So learning how to even apply, how to, everything that it requires was a crazy experience. And I mean, it's something that I can now share with my younger cousins and younger people in my family. And so, yeah, it was just, I never had help with it. And So being able to help the younger ones in my family has always been something that like I strive to do. But yeah, high school was a great experience for me. I was on my school soccer team. We made it up to NTS semifinals, so we made it pretty far. We actually made school history in that sense in soccer. Puente was a big piece of who I am today in my education. And I was also in the Chicano Latino Youth Leadership Project, which I kind of want to plug in. If any of you are Latino or identify as Chicano Latino, there's a summer institute that happens. It's completely free. All you need to pay for is your application and sending it in. And it's a week-long program. You stay at Sacramento State. So I stayed in a dorm at Sacramento State. I was able to meet Dolores Huerta, a lot of Latino authors, and it was a free program. I don't think Dolores Huerta still goes to it, but there are a lot of like motivational people that are Latino, and it was a great experience for me. So that may be something you all want to look into. And it's a week-long thing. You stay in the dorms, you try out all the, especially if there are any like sophomores or juniors, you might want to look into it. But you stay in the dorms at Sacramento State, you eat from the dining halls and stuff, so you kind of get to feel what it's like to be a college student for a week, and it was a pretty good experience. And yeah, during my senior year, I applied to a bunch of schools. I was really set on going to the UC Santa Barbara. Ended up getting waitlisted and then didn't get accepted. But I think it kind of worked out in the sense that I was really homesick, and I think you can go to the next slide. Carlos?
Oh, the next one as well?
Yeah, can you go to the next one, please? Yeah, so you see, or the previous one, sorry. My screen wasn't. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, UC Santa Cruz. I was in the EOP Bridge program, and I was able to go in a week earlier, and like meet a lot of students. That's where I met Tanya, who just presented. But even with the EOP Bridge program, I was really homesick my first year, and so even though I wanted to get into UC Santa Barbara, I think it worked out for the best for me to go to UC Santa Cruz, because my dad was able to pick me up over the weekends and stuff, and so I had that opportunity to come home when I wasn't feeling well or just missing home, because it's even though it's only an hour away from where I was born, right, Hayward to Santa Cruz, it's only about an hour drive. It feels like it's a world away. Sometimes I felt isolated at times, and like I struggled heavily, especially my first quarter. I was placed on academic probation. I failed my math course. I'm still horrible at math. I don't know if anyone else can relate, but I was horrible at math. And I failed my math course. I was placed on, academic probation, meaning I had to pass a certain amount of courses. Basically, the rest of my courses my first year, my financial aid was going to be in jeopardy. And so for that first year was definitely a struggle. But the EOP Bridge definitely helped. I reached out to a centro at UC Santa Cruz, which is a Chicano Latino Resource Center. Being Latino is a big component, and that's kind of where I was able to find my group of people who I kind of felt like had similar experiences to me. My roommate actually in college had gone to high school at Head Royce. Not to knock at that school or anything, but they pay $40,000 roughly a year for tuition. And so he was in top tier courses, right? He was in calculus and stuff, and I was at the lowest level of math, failing everything, getting 10 out of 100 on midterms. And so at Centro and EOP Bridge were key for my success at UC Santa Cruz, where I was able to find my group of people that I was able to relate to. I had hit similar backgrounds to myself, of being first generation, low income, and so the Centro and EOP were really huge for my success there at UC Santa Cruz. I ended up graduating with a BA in psychology in 2016. Stevenson College, UC Santa Cruz has 10 different colleges. This is the view from Stevenson College. That's the college I was affiliated with. And then the last picture at the bottom, which it says Latinos in Rome. I was able to study abroad during my senior year. And as you can, I don't know if you're able to tell from this picture, but it's a group of guys, right? And we're all Latino. So even though we were halfway around the world, I was still finding my group of people that I was feeling like I could relate to. And so yeah, studying abroad was a great opportunity for me, and I feel really privileged in that sense. I know there are people that are not able to leave the country, and so just being able to leave the country is a huge privilege. Um, but it's something that I like carry with me, and I love traveling to this day. So those are kind of who I was at Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz, I love that school now. Although I didn't want to go there in the beginning, it's like I ended up loving that school. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. In terms of like my professional experience, I got my first job straight out of UC Santa Cruz in Camel Union School District. I was a community liaison, so helping families with like basic needs like shelter, food, internet access, whatever it may be. And so that really what that job consisted of. Um, and I guess the biggest thing was being able to like give back to people, even if it was like a district I may necessarily didn't want to work for. It was still a great opportunity. I was helping people that needed basic things, and I was able to relate to their experiences through my own experience. And then the middle one is at Tennyson High School. That's a picture of Tennyson. That's where I went to school. I was a college advisor. That's where I was able to meet Carlos, Mr. Carlos, through the DCAC advising court. So I was placed at Tennyson High School. I worked with a cohort of first generation underrepresented students at Tennyson High School, and it's a big. For me, it kind of felt rewarding working there, because obviously I had gone to school there, and giving back to my school was like was a plus. Currently, I'm an academic counselor at Castro Valley High School, and so that demographic is a little bit different from the one I'm used to. The population is not as first generation or low income as I'm used to, but there are still pockets within that space, and there's still room for equity, and helping students who are underserved within those communities. And so I guess for me, just realizing that was that regardless of where I went, I can always find room for growth within different groups, and sharing my own journey with students is always something that I found valuable. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm an academic counselor at Castro Valley High School. And I think that's the last slide. Or actually, this one is completing the cycle. So during my year as a college advising fellow at Tennyson High School, I was able to go to UC Santa Cruz, and it was on March 9th. So I was able to take a group of about, I think it was 60 students to UC Santa Cruz, and I was able to like guide for the most part the entire tour, and showing them around and actually giving them a real picture of what it's like to go there. Because it's one thing, right, to get a tour where they're kind of trying to sell you the school, and then it's another thing to give you actual like a real picture of what it's like to go to that school. Yeah, so going there and taking a group of students to UC Santa Cruz from Tennyson was a great thing for me. And then, like I said, I'm a big believer of lifelong learning. So I didn't update this slide, but I was a master's student, and I graduated in May 2019 from San Jose State. So I got my master's there in education counseling, and I have my PPS credential now. During my time as a master's student, I applied and was given this award of the California Pre-Doctoral Program. So I went through preparation to become a PhD student. I have like a group of people. Right now I'm taking a break from school because I felt overwhelmed. I felt like especially during the last year of my program at San Jose State was a 2-year master's program, and that last year was really brutal for me. Like I was working on my thesis. It ended up being, I think, like 70 pages or so. So that thing was brutal, and like I needed a break. So that right now I'm working as an academic counselor, but I do plan perhaps on going back and getting my either PhD or doctorates in education. So I know that's something I'm looking forward to down the road. Like I said, I'm a big believer of lifelong learning, whether that be through formal learning in a school setting or just like learning as a professional or just in my personal life. And so that's kind of, I think that's the last slide, and that's a big picture of who I am, and my journey. And so hopefully some of you are able to connect to it in some sense.
Thank you, Raul, for being with us today and for sharing, a little bit of a glimpse of your experience, going to UC Santa Cruz and then also pursuing your master's at San Jose State. Again, if you're open to it, I would definitely like to share out your email to the students, if that's okay with you. So that way, if they do have questions that they aren't able to ask today, they can go ahead and shoot you an email. And also, maybe you can give us a link or just maybe run the name by us again about that 1 week program at Sac State University.
Mm-hmm.
So that would definitely be helpful for our students to also like look into that as well. So again, thank you, Raul, for joining us today. And we'll go ahead and continue on the panel. So again, thanks, Raul.
Okay, yeah, thank you for having me. And I didn't put my email, but feel free to contact me. I'll send you my email. That way you can provide it to the students.
Sounds good, Raul. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Kathy. Are you in the house, Kathy?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. What's up, everybody? So do I just go?
Yeah, you can just go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kathy. I am originally from LA. I actually currently live in Massachusetts. I'm in LA right now, but that's because of the Rona. So yeah, I've been here a month. It's been very interesting, but I love being home. A little bit about me, I put it here. I went to Granada Hills Charter High School in Los Angeles. And then after high school, I actually went to community college, similar to BB. So my community college is a little different. Story is a little different. I was actually admitted to UC Merced after high school, but like because I didn't know what I was doing, there was a lot of confusion when it came to housing. And very last minute, I didn't have housing to go to school. So I opted into going to community college, and I had a very like negative mindset about community college. I thought like, oh, like I'm going to CC, that means I didn't do good enough, or I like failed. I didn't like do enough to get to like, I'm not getting the same education as someone else who's going straight to a 4-year. That was literally my mentality going into community college, and I was very, very off. So I'm going to repeat a lot of what BB said, right? Like it's definitely a second chance. Like it's a great opportunity to like really solidify your skills and what you know. And then so when you do transfer to whatever school that you choose to transfer, you have like solid skills that you've spent a lot of time on in community college to really like solidify and then transfer over. So I did transfer to UC Berkeley, and I majored in history and legal studies there. So go Bears. I love Cal. I actually hated Cal when I first got there. I thought it was a really white school, and I was definitely looked around and I didn't see anyone who looked like me. And I remember my very first class was a class on immigration. So I was very excited. My parents are immigrants from El Salvador. And to me, like immigration is like a very personal thing, like knowing like my parents' journey and knowing the lack thereof acknowledgement a lot of central communities get in terms of migration, and like not so much migration for like, you know, thriving, but also migration for survival and like refugee status and things like that, like not associated with Central American communities. So for me, this class was like, I was super excited about this class. And I just remember sitting down, and it was like 3 Latinos in a class of 80 people, and that threw me off. And then I just remember someone turning to me and being like, well, what's the Mexican perspective on this? And I just being like, 1, I don't know. 2, even if I was Mexican, why are you just asking me? Like, not one Latino is a spokesperson for an entire community. And that was like a huge culture shock for me. Versus my community college, where there was a lot of people of color, a lot of people that I could relate to. It was just really hard for me to like grasp transitioning into Berkeley, and it made me miss my community college a lot. But at the end of it, I found my comunidad at Berkeley, and I fell in love. I was part of, similar to Raul and Tanya, I was really involved with EOP, right? And at Berkeley, we also have the undocumented student program. I'm not undocumented, but EOP and USP like work together very closely. So it was like one huge program, and it was such a great space to just be in. I know Carlos went to Cal and can like speak on that as well. So that was a really like, I feel like EOP was that space for me that made me feel home. I was also part of the transfer center. So I worked a lot with like the transfer center there, and like worked with like admitted students, worked with like, you know, even me, my own personal development, not having the full 4 years, but having 2 years, right? When in reality, I stayed an extra year, so I did 3 at Berkeley. But like transferring, that was very important to me. And then I was also very involved with Raza Recruitment and Retention Center, which is specifically focused on Latinx students on campus. And that was literally my survival while I was at Berkeley, and I loved it. After graduating, I also got to work with EAOP and DCAC with everybody that's spoken. It was honestly, I feel like it was a very eye-opening experience to me for how much I loved education, because I hated our education system. And it really made me realize how many barriers there are for like first-gen low-income students of color that are ridiculous and unnecessary. And I had the privilege of being surrounded by folk who had like similar backgrounds as me. I was able to speak my language with, right? Like just being able to speak Spanish and like find community within my coworkers was different, and I loved it. And even like being able to form bonds and like falling in love with like my students and how brilliant they were. And like, you know, I just loved my job to the point where I decided to apply to graduate school in education. Originally, I was all about going to law school. And then I realized I didn't care about law school. And so I decided to apply to grad school, and I ended up going to the Harvard Grad School of Education. I graduated spring 2019 with my Master's of Education in Education Policy and Management. And it was very much like a struggle at Harvard. Obviously, it's like a really big name, and like when you get there, it doesn't really hit you until you get there and you see all these very privileged people, and you just like can't relate to like anybody there. So at Harvard, my survival, similar to Berkeley, was Comunidad Latinx. So that was like a Latinx student organization on campus. I helped start GASA, which GASA is the Central American Student Association. So fun fact, we started it last year, and you need 25 students to start an organization. Last year was the first time Harvard had more than 25 Central American students in the entire university. So it's not just the ed school. I'm talking about the undergrads, the doctoral programs, the law school, the ed school. This is the first time they've had more than 25, or at least 25. We had like 28 people sign the paper. And that's only that we found, right? There's maybe like, hopefully, I hope there's more. But, you know, like thinking about like, dang, like we couldn't even start an organization like this because my community is that invisible on this campus. So we were able to start that, and it was like, honestly, that's like my favorite thing that I did that year. And yeah, I just fell in love with like my community and the things that we were able to do in the communities we were able to highlight while at Harvard. And yeah, that to me was super important. And that's where I also realized like mental and emotional health. So I like a little bit about me. I love dancing. I could not say that probably like a year ago. But I started salsa, bachata, and cha-cha dancing like often, to the point where like I do it every day. And I actually started that at classes at Harvard. It was super fun, and I found so much more community there also through dance, right? And as a Latina, music is super important, right? Like music is a huge part of, you know, our culture and our comunidad. And I always felt like, dang, I can't dance. This is weird. So then I like was able to do that, and it helped me feel closer to myself, which made me feel more comfortable on the campus. So yeah. Next slide. Thank you. So, oh dang, my other 2 pictures didn't come out. Sad day. I had other pictures. But from struggles to success, basically, in community college, it was just figuring it out. Like I didn't have anybody help me in community college when I got there. It took me 3 years to transfer. When if I would have known what I was doing, I would have been able to do it in 2. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't care that it took me a little longer, because I wouldn't be where I'm at without that time, right? So I was very fortunate to be part of the speech and debate team at LA Valley College. And that to me was like really huge, because my friends that I made there were very much pushing me to like, oh, you should transfer, you should do this, you should do that. And I was just kind of like, cool, like, but I didn't know what to do. But my coaches were very adamant about like, take this class, talk to this person, do this. So they were very on top of me with regards to like, okay, what classes are you taking? Where are you looking to go to school? And to be honest, I didn't really know UC Berkeley existed. I'm from LA, so the big school was UCLA. Like that's been my dream school since I was in high school, you know. So it was kind of like that's the only school I knew that like to me mattered, right? So like to me it was just like UCLA or bust. Like that was it. And when I was applying, like I applied to my schools, and I did really well at my community college. So I was like super involved in speech and debate. I did music. I was in like 3 different choirs. So it was just like hella involved with music and speech and debate. And I got really good grades. But when it came time to apply, I again found myself like just alone doing that process. So I remember a friend and I, we would like be on the phone, like filling out our application together, just because like I didn't know who else to call. And like we were both first timers and we just did it together. And I remember I applied to my UCs and I got into all of them except UCLA. And I remember being so sad because I was on the phone with my friend and she got in and I didn't, and we like opened it at the same time, and it was like really like, it's like that bittersweet moment where you're like, I'm so happy for you, but I'm also so sad. And then like literally 5 minutes after Berkeley came out and I found out I got into Berkeley, and I literally like, I was like, is that good? Like, I don't know what that is. Like I had no idea what Berkeley was. I only applied because my dad's boss's son went to UC Berkeley and he told me just apply. And I was like, all right, that's literally the research I did on UC Berkeley. And then, you know, I ended up going UC Berkeley. Like I was very fortunate to like get full financial aid to go to Cal. So I went, and to be honest, my first year and a half were really rough for me. With regards to not so much the classes, but my mental and emotional health. I was constantly at the Tank Center, which is like the hospital that we have on campus. I had a lot of, like, I was taking a lot of medication. I was constantly just having emotional breakdowns. And it was just a really difficult process for me the first like year and a half. And it wasn't until probably like spring 2015 that I was like, okay, like I'm starting to like take care of myself in ways that are important and necessary. And a lot of that had to do with the community that I had taken the time to build while on campus. And yeah, like that's one thing I know that like Tanya mentioned, like taking advantage of resources. Definitely take advantage of resources, because again, reiterating what she said, you already paid for them. So one of them was like the health center and going to therapy and getting medication and just getting the help that I needed. It took me a while to do that because I was like, no, mental health, that's not like a thing. And then I realized, no, girl, it is a thing, and like you need to get it. So that was like really hard for me. But again, because of the community that I built and that I still have from Berkeley, I was able to really like grow and get to where I needed to be. Similar at Harvard, my first semester at Harvard was actually really difficult. Again, not so much because of academics, but because like I moved from California to Massachusetts. That's literally across the country. And if anything were to happen in your family, well, guess what? You're not anywhere close. At Berkeley, I could easily like drive down when something was wrong. Massachusetts, I couldn't do that. My first semester, my dad got really sick. My dad has a lot of like respiratory issues. So right now with Corona, it's like really scary for him to go out. But like my dad like has always had respiratory issues. So he got really sick in the fall when I was out there. And then my aunt, who I basically like grew up with, she's been sick for years, and she passed away while I was in grad school, and that was really hard on me. And a lot of that like just sent me spiraling. There was a point in my grad school where I was just like, I walked up to my professor and I told him, I don't care about your class, I need to go home. And he looked at me and was like, and I told him what happened. I didn't just say that, right? You don't just say that. But I did tell him like, this is what's going on. So I just don't like right now, my head isn't with like, I'm trying to be a great student. My head is like, I need to go home. Like I need to take care of my family. And so like I had because I was very transparent with my professor, I just remember he literally gave me a hug and was just like, whatever you need, let me know. And I flew back home. I was out here for like a minute, like taking care of my family and taking care of things that we needed to do here. But that did take a very heavy toll in my first semester of grad school. And then second semester, I was able to like, you know, just work on myself. I started going back to therapy and really like just take care of myself a lot more mentally and emotionally. But it was very like the first semester of grad school was really rough for me. And being away from home didn't make that any easier, right? Massachusetts is very different than California. So like just acclimating to everything was really hard. but again, therapy, mental health, like that's always been like, how do you take care of that? And I had to figure out different ways in both grad school and undergrad. But a huge part of it is community and the people that like I built those bonds with. So next slide, please. But yes, highlights and takeaways during college. So again, I keep mentioning community because it was so important to me. So building your foundation, right? Community is everything. I know that's something I think everybody has mentioned thus far, because it's just so important who you're with and what you do with the people that you're with, right? Like some of the folks here pictured, it's actually a mix of like my Berkeley and my Harvard community. So like a couple of people that I went to undergrad with like have come visit me from like California to Massachusetts, and I've had the pleasure of mixing them with like my current grad school friends. The person that I have the selfie with is actually my professor. So her name is Doctora Villarreal, and she's like a dope ethnic studies professor. And she was like, she's huge on like me taking care of me and just like, you know, one, validating all my hard work and knowing that I deserve this, and also like reassuring that I'm bringing that same energy back to my community and my work. So she is like a huge, like she's not my professor anymore, she's my friend, like, and that's like a huge thing to say. I'm actually like gonna call her right after this, and we're gonna have a check-in just to see how we're doing. And like, you know, just to build those relationships with your professors is really important. And I feel like at Berkeley, I didn't do that. Like, I can't hit up any of my professors at Berkeley because I didn't know what it was, like what that meant. I didn't know what office hours were. I didn't know what to do in office hours. And there's no professors that I feel like I built a genuine connection with. At Harvard, I learned, right? And I learned before that from like, you know, doing the college advising and being like, oh, damn, yeah, I did not take advantage of office hours. So then when I did go, I definitely did. And I built these really strong relationships with my professors. And the strongest one I would have to say is with her. She is amazing, and I feel like she's one of those ideal professors that I feel like every student should always get. But again, like building that community, that foundation, because you never know what's going to happen. And if you don't have that foundation very like strong, then it's really hard to get through. It's not just to get to college, right? It's to get through it. And it's like building that community is really important in order to get through college. Taking advantage of professors, right? Like, they are way more approachable than you think. So again, going back to like office hours and things like that, like go to your professors, like meet them, talk to them. Like you don't have to have an agenda, right? You can just be like, I just want to meet you because I'm taking your class and this is why I decided to take your class. And they become really cool people, and they may even eventually become friends. So you know, that's one thing I could say is take advantage of your professors. And I know I've mentioned a lot about mental health. Definitely like take advantage of your insurance. I'm really big on mental health. I love therapy. I think it's very great, and I think it's helped me really like self-reflect on myself. But also not just on myself, but the folks that I surround myself with, the things that I read, the community that I like have, the community that I want to have, right? And what am I doing to get there? And I feel like if I wasn't for therapy, I wouldn't have done that. And it was free. I haven't paid a single dime for therapy or for any of my mental and emotional health that I've gotten. And yeah, it comes with health insurance, but take advantage of health insurance specifically, because you'd be surprised like how many things are literally at the click of a button online that are completely free, that like Tanya said before, like you've already paid for it. So, you know, why aren't you taking advantage? That's just free money that you're giving the school. You don't owe them anymore. So take advantage of it. And then the next one. And then future career goals. So I actually want to get that PhD behind my name. I feel like research for me was never like, I liked research, but it wasn't something that I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. But I feel like my master's program made me realize how many questions I had, and it made me realize how angry I really was about like a lot of the education system and how it was like formed, but then also about like how much of my Central American community has always been excluded from academia, and how much like, yes, we have like history and we have a lot of things that we have contributed to history, but when it comes to like mainstream education, like you don't really hear about Central American communities at all. And if you do, you hear like literally you hear about civil wars and gang violence and you hear nothing else, right? And when our communities are so much more than catastrophe, and that doesn't just include like my Central American communities, and includes communities of color, right? Our communities are so resilient, so brilliant, so beautiful, so powerful. Yet when we look at history and we look at academia and we look at the way that we're reflected in a more like, oh, violence, oh, like poverty, oh, all these things, right? When it's like, well, where did that come from? And recognizing that our communities have also contributed so many beautiful things besides this. Yes, that is a reality, but it's also like there's also so much positivity that comes from our communities that isn't talked about as often as like other things, right? So I'm looking into programs in education sociology, or mainly ethnic studies, but I want to research education, integration between education, immigration, and also racial formations. And my end goal is to be a professor at both a community college and a four-year institution. I want to teach the exact same class at a community college and a four-year institution, because I'm so sick of hearing people say it's a different kind of education. I'm like, no, it's the same thing. So I want to teach a class at CC and a four-year just to prove that wrong as well. The women I have pictured are, if y'all want to Google them, they're kind of amazing. Stephanie Cuevas, she's Mexicana, Harvard grad, amazing. Her work on the role of immigrant parents and educational journeys, like she is amazing. And she's doctoral student at, well, doctorate grad at Harvard. She's fantastic. And on the right, is it right? Yes, it is the right. We have Marta Franco, and she is a Salvadoreña researching unaccompanied minors and how they assimilate into the education system. Again, two women that like constantly inspire me, and both doctoras, both Latinas. And for me, that's like a huge inspiration to like, you know, I definitely look up to them, and they're friends, but they're also role models. So that's why I put them up there. But yes, definitely Central American migration, and then also integrating it with education and racial formation. And the last slide, porfis. And then I always say this, it's not about where you go, it's about what you do with where you go. I still say this to my students to this day. I started at a community college, and I can't tell you how many times people were like, ay, pobrecita, or poor girl, like, oh my God. And I'm just kind of like, you know what? Like, I am not ashamed of my community college experience. I'm not upset that I went to community college. I started off that way, but when I reflect back on it, it honestly made me much more critical. It gave me a different lens. It made me a stronger writer. When I look at my writing in high school and I look at my writing in like college, it would if it wasn't for my community college, I would have never developed those skills to the same degree that I had them once I transferred to Berkeley. So like, and I love to write, and I think part of that is because I went to community college. I took advantage of it. And then every institution I went to, I did the same thing. So whenever at Berkeley and Harvard, I know they have money, I know they have resources. So I would just like, dámelo, like I'll take it, take advantage of it. What can I do? How can I do it? But yeah, it's definitely not about where you go, it's what you do with where you go. And also one other thing, in California, I work in college access now in Massachusetts, which is very different than California. California is definitely a bubble, which I love. It's a beautiful bubble, to be honest. But one thing I have realized is a lot of my students, when I was a college advisor, would definitely focus on UC, CSUs, and private schools within the state. One thing to note is that if you literally Google colleges that meet 100% need, you can find universities across the country that will fully fund you if you are a low-income student. That I didn't know that when I was a college advisor, and I think that's something that I should have known, because it's something that like, I feel like, why do we limit ourselves to California when there are schools across the country that you might fall in love with and they'll give you a full ride? So it's like, definitely Google that. Colleges that meet 100% need, and College Greenlight has a whole list of colleges all over the country that if you get in, you can get a full ride to. So don't limit your options to just Cali. I love California though, don't get me wrong. I dream of the days to move back here every single time I walk out my door in Massachusetts and I see snow. But yes, definitely don't limit your options, and take advantage of wherever you go, because every school has amazing resources that you can definitely take advantage of. And I'll give you all my email. So yeah, because I realized I didn't put mine on the slides. So I'll put it in the chat thing.
It's all good, Kathy. Thank you so much for also joining us today, and for giving us a quick breakdown. I know for all our panelists thus far, it's super hard to try to convey your story, your trajectory, your whole journey within like 10, 15 minutes, so I definitely do appreciate thus far all you that have joined today Zoom meeting, and I appreciate y'all very much. So thank you again, Kathy, for joining us today and for sharing all y'all's wisdom with the students today. So I'm gonna go ahead and so again, she's gonna go ahead and send us her contact information, so then that way you all can reach out to her as well. To go ahead and like finish things up. Last but definitely not least, we're gonna have my other colleague Diego go ahead and you know, finalize everything for us today. So Diego, are you in the house still?
Yes, I am.
All right, go
Yes,
ahead and
can you hear me?
take it away.
All
Yeah.
right, sorry for if you hear any noise. I guess my neighbor decided to cut his lawn in the backyard, so disregard that noise. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well, doing a lot of self-care. I know I am. Catching up on Netflix. I'm on season 3 of 3 seasons of Ozark, so definitely take the time to self-care during these times. It's a lot being in the same space for a short period of time, but do the best that you can to hang in there. All right. Yes, my name is Diego Gavino. I'm the oldest of 3 siblings at my house. My parents immigrated here from Mexico, first-gen college students. And I've been growing up in San Leandro all my life. I still live with them. I do plan to move out at some point, but for financial reasons. And because I still, it just makes sense to still be with them. I'm still at home in San Leandro. So that's a little bit about that. I graduated from San Leandro High School. I was a part of the AVID program. I did that for 4 years. I knew that I always wanted to go to college. I knew that that's something that my dad would always tell me. I mean, kind of instill that kind of mentality to go to college and have a better job than what he would do. He works in construction. So definitely he wanted me to have a job that pays a little bit better and less physical toll on your body. So he kind of always instilled that piece in me. In high school, I was pretty quiet. I wasn't really social. I only did soccer. I was not a part of any clubs. I probably showed up like to one club meeting and that's it. I was like, you know what, this is not for me. And yeah, so that was my kind of high school experience. And then I went on to Holy Names University. I had 6 options. I could have gone to East Bay, which is a little bit closer to me, but I decided to go to Holy Names, which is in Oakland. So definitely I went to a private school. It is pretty expensive, but I thought it was a great fit for me. Small school, close to home. I felt very comfortable graduating in 4 years. That I was worried at the time being that long to graduate, just because I had a cousin who it took him 6 years to graduate. So I didn't want to be in a position where I felt like I wouldn't graduate in that short time, because I knew I wanted to graduate, start working, and start making an income as being the eldest. So I definitely wanted to push through that. So I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Sport Biology and a minor in Communications. I wanted to do athletic training. I've always loved sports. I still do. So I definitely wanted to do something that was related to athletics. And I felt like athletic training was going to be the one. One thing that I eventually found out was that for you to become an athletic trainer, you need to become, you need to go to a program that's certified. So that meant that I should have gone to San Jose State. I should have gone to Fresno State, but I never knew any of that information, or that was never given to me. So that's something that I eventually learned about that. So then I eventually took a year off. I decided to, hey, let me do more research and go to a master's program for athletic training. So then I eventually joined the DCAC EAUP College Advising Program, which is where I met everyone here in this panel and even Carlos. And I decided to do that for a year, kind of told myself, hey, let me do this for a year. Let me do more research. Let me get ready to apply to a graduate program in Southern California, which is where they had athletic training programs at that level. After a year, I decided, hey, I like college advising. I like to share my story. I like to help people that look like me. So then I decided to attend a program to become a school counselor. So then I attended University of San Francisco, getting my counseling psychology with an emphasis of school counseling and PPS credential. I'm still currently taking it. I'm doing online classes. I actually have class later today for 1 hour, of many other hours. So definitely doing a lot of Zoom, and I also have summer classes. So that's where I ended up, definitely that's something different than what I initially started in college, my undergrad with sports bio. So definitely I was able to make that switch with the experience that I was able to gain and knowledge. Um, yeah, going back a little bit more at Holy Names, um, I became more social. As I mentioned in San Leandro High, I wasn't that social. Holy Names, I figured that, hey, I need to be more open. So I did a lot of leadership. I was a part of Latinos Unidos. I first started as secretary, then I was vice president, and then I was dropped to treasurer, just because of the way everything worked out with everyone else that was a part of the club, and just the workload. I eventually became senior class president senior year. Another fun fact, I ran cross country in college for 4 years. I was pretty good my first year. My last 3 years weren't so pretty, but I was still able to get a little bit of income to help pay for school and also create that social group that I wanted to, that I always looked forward to, that I still talk to this day. So that's a little bit about that experience and my background. Carlos, can you please go to the next slide? So I just wanted to kind of share my journey, just to show kind of like the trajectory of everything. So as I mentioned, I attended Holy Names University 2016. I worked as a student ambassador. I feel like if I never worked there, I wouldn't be here where I am today. A lot of decisions, obviously, it's about what you make out of it. But if I never did student ambassador, I never would have had the college advisor position. If I never did that, I never would have done counseling for grad school. And then I wouldn't be here where speaking to you all, because I would have never met Carlos. So that's a little bit about that trajectory, that like a little decision like that could definitely help you with everything. So I did student ambassador. I was able to give campus tours of Holy Names. So I was definitely able to make some sort of income when I was in college, and a lot of networking was happening. And during my college time, I also still work there with the Oakland A's as Stadium Ops event staff. So that's a separate kind of experience that I've had. So be able to support a sport, a team that I've always grew up attending games to, and also just getting to learn a lot more, especially the customer service aspect. And then I ended up doing college advising for 2 years at Hayward High. So that was a lot of great experiences that I was able to do there. A lot of networking. I was the first advisor ever at Hayward High, so definitely I had to learn a lot of things. My initial plan, my first year, was to kind of like network and demonstrate to all the students and staff that this is what I am, this is what the role is about. And then the second year, just get that started, get that group going, do a lot of college advising with students. College advising for DCAC was a 2-year program. So I had to eventually leave. A lot of students were sad, but I had to leave, and I found an opportunity at Chabot College as an outreach specialist. I did that for a year and a quarter. And I was at Cesar Chavez Middle School and Tennyson High School. So definitely had that kind of experience working at a community college for a very short period of time. And I eventually ended up going back to that same community that I started off with at Hayward High. And right now, I'm a Puente school counselor. I've been there since October 2019. I took out my emergency credential to eventually be at Hayward High. So I'm still going to school while working full time. So it's very tough, but as long as you have the drive and continue to put in the work, that's all doable. So it's very tough. And along the way, I was able to do my internships at Bret Harte Middle School and Tennyson. So definitely I was able to do a lot of networking, a lot of connections to be able to do everything that I've been wanting to do. So definitely that's something that I'm excited about doing. All right, can you go to the next slide, please? So a couple of things that I just wanted to highlight were some of the struggles that I experienced was the imposter syndrome. In my second semester in college, freshman year, I received a D and an F, and I was eventually placed on academic probation. I kind of questioned myself, like, do I even deserve to be here? In high school, I was a 3.0 student. I did all my work. I felt like I was a good student. Everyone kind of told me that too, all my friends. So like that was always told of me of that. So once I went to college, I was just kind of like, have I been someone else this entire time? Am I even a good student? So that's definitely something that I eventually experienced, and being in a position where like I didn't have that many people around me that actually went to college. So that was a bit of a struggle, just kind of navigating through that failure. And then I guess I wrote that commuter experience because I went to a very small school, and everyone, I want to say 75% of the students that went to Holy Names lived on campus. So I was part of a very small group of commuters. So I was not able to have that same experience that everyone had, and just kind of being left out of like just a part of events, anything like that. So I just felt like the commuter experience is definitely different to think about as well. But some successes, I learned how to study better. I learned that I needed to do better if I wanted to do better in my classes and succeed. So I definitely learned a lot more study habits that I needed to do, and a lot of time management. Learning how to schedule my time, learning what kind of material I need to learn and how to learn it. We all learn differently, so we all do use different study skills. So that's something that I eventually had to do. Many opportunities to grow. As I mentioned, I became more social, so I definitely was a part of many different areas, being able to interact and learn about many different experiences, leadership skills, connecting with people that have helped me along the way, that still do. So those are the kind of opportunities that I felt like were available in college. And then again, networking. I think that's a big thing. Do the best that you can with networking socially and professionally, because those kind of connections can definitely take you a long way moving forward with getting you a job, or just being there for you as a friend. You know, maybe you just want to go out and go play some hoops, go for a soccer game, or just to hang out and grab some dinner. You know, something small like that could definitely help out positively in the future. Could you go to the next slide, please? Some current and future goals. Yeah, finish up grad school. It's kicking me in the butt right now because I feel like I can relate to many of my students, and possibly you all. It's tough. It's tough during these times to do some homework and think about that. But I know that I need to finish, and definitely finish off these next 2 weekends of classes, and I hope to finish off in the summer. Summer's going to be a little bit tough. It's 6 weekends straight of classes, so definitely that's something that is going to be brutal. But hey, it's part of the journey, and I'm almost there, just as you all are as well. Continue to work as a school counselor at Hayward High. I'm taking on my emergency credential. I'm still kind of on quote unquote probation because I haven't completed up to 3 years and gotten tenured. So definitely I still want to work there, do the best that I can, and demonstrate to everyone that I'm capable of still having the job. So there's that piece. Another bullet point is take additional classes the next 2 years, obviously to learn more, but to also make more money. So that's something that that I have done to kind of prepare myself to be ready to do that piece. Save money as well along the way and pay off my loans. Grad school is very expensive. That's why I still live at home, but also I've been taking out loans to pay off for school. So definitely start paying those off within the next 2 years, and then travel more. As we've talked about, you know, a lot of self-care, mental health. I feel like taking like little trips like that could definitely help out in a way. So do the best that you can with that piece. I don't know if I have another slide. Yes. I think there's a last slide. Some pieces of advice is be okay with being flexible, being prepared for change. You know, all of you are right now preparing to make a decision and kind of planning out whether it's picking classes for next year in high school, whether it's making a decision for college. Whatever does happen, be flexible with whatever does happen. Everything that I just told about you that I have done, I didn't never expected any of that. You know, everything has changed, and I've been okay with that change, and it's all been for the better. So definitely, I initially want to do athletic training. Now I'm doing school counseling. So that's something that I think you all should all think about, being flexible with that and just being happy with it. The next one is don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. I think for me personally, as a male Latino, I think it's hard. Growing up, it was hard for me to ask questions or just ask in general for help, because I feel like it was always engraved that, hey, I was the oldest. I'm a male Latino, so I'm supposed to figure things out just because I guess I see my dad figuring things out, and I initially think that he's doing it on his own, but he's also asked for help as well. So kind of engraving that hey, like it's okay to ask for help. If one person doesn't give it to you, go to someone else. There's always someone going to be out there that's going to be able to help you out. And then the last thing, make sure to continue doing things that make you happy. Again, it's a part of self-care, mental health. A couple things that just shared that I like to do is hang out with friends and family, play video games, watch movies, play soccer, and so much more. So definitely do the things that make you happy along the way. I feel like that's what has helped me along my college path, and I hope to continue doing that in the future. So yeah, other than that, that's all I have, and I hope to hear some questions that students have about anything that I have spoken, and also anyone in the panel that has spoken. Carlos, I believe you're muted.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I thought I had hit it already, but I guess I didn't. But again, like I was saying, I want to thank you all for coming in to our Zoom or participating today with us during our Zoom meeting. And I just want to, just take the time to really thank you all. And, I appreciate you all for, all that you've lived through, and all the spaces you've been able to impact, and all the future spaces that you will continue to impact because of how dedicated and resilient you all are. So you've, again, impacted our students today. So I definitely do appreciate that, and I know it's been quite a while that we've been on the Zoom meeting. I think we've been in here for at least an hour and a half now. So I do want to, acknowledge everyone who has continued with the Zoom meeting presentation thus far. I know we unfortunately lost a few folks, but like you mentioned, Diego, some students are taking classes as well. So it just makes sense that they're going to be jumping on and off of the Zoom meeting. But I do want to still leave a few more minutes just to open it up for Q&A. I know we didn't really have time to do the Q&A, but at least I know that once I'm able to go ahead and send the students your email or contact information, they'll be able to go ahead and do so. But if any students have any questions right now, please feel free to either ask or type them in the chat, and hopefully we can get a few of them answered. So feel free to go ahead and ask away. But again, thank you all. So I'm wondering if there's any questions thus far. Do any of my colleagues have any questions that the students sent in at all? Or any of the students still on? Do y'all have any specific questions or comments that you would like to address the panelists in or about? All right, so at least from my end, I don't see any. I don't know if there's any other pieces of advice that you as panelists want to give the students. I know we kind of had a whole session on it, but again, any maybe last words, since as of now I don't see any questions coming in. And also I do believe they may be just shy at the same time, so I will just go ahead and once I give them your contact information, hopefully they do reach out to you all, or I know I will be reaching out to you all on their behalf as well. So just bear with us. But I guess we can go ahead and or I don't know if any of the alumni may want to have any other additional information that were able to join us today.
I think that we can wait a bit because not everyone is super quick with the typing.
Okay.
But I definitely have a question that I feel maybe all of you guys might have some input on. But I think every panelist mentioned being first in their family to even come close to doing, anything related to education or, master's, bachelor's, anything like that. And some families are really supportive because they're like, yeah, we made sacrifices. We want you guys to do what we weren't able to do. But that's not always the case, especially because there's like cultural differences, and sometimes families are kind of are the ones that are naysayers or giving you the judgment or giving you pushback. So does anyone have any experience with that? And if so, how did you navigate that with maybe having family that's kind of like, you know, what is sociology? How are you getting a degree in this, you know, study of people? Or why are you taking more than 4 years? Or why are you taking out another loan? Or what does this mean that you're going to community college and not a real college? So did any of you guys have any experience with that? What was it like? Or yeah, just any of that.
I can go first. As I mentioned, I graduated with my Bachelor of Arts in Sports Biology. And then after that, my first job was as a college advisor. And I still remember my mom telling me, oh, estás trabajando en lo que estudiaste? Are you working in what you studied for? And then I said, no, it's something different. And then my mom was just kind of like, then why did you go to college? And then I kind of had to explain to her that, hey, it just creates more opportunities. It's kind of like the stepping stone. This is the initial plan. So kind of like having to explain degrees, what those actually mean, and how it kind of helps you out moving forward. I think that's one thing that I had to kind of like navigate. And also the financial aid piece. This is what it meant. This is what a loan is. Like, this is what I'm doing. And just kind of keeping them up to date. Like, this is what the financial aid letter means. So that's one thing that kind of came to my attention.
So you feel like being as open as possible was helpful, like explaining to them?
Yeah, definitely. And I think they understood and they knew that I was preparing myself the best that I can. And they were just being super supportive and asking if there's anything that they could do. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Was there ever a time with any of you where your family wasn't supportive?
So for me, my family's always been super supportive, but like my initial family, so my mom and my dad. However, I'm actually the only girl in my family. So in terms of gender dynamics, when I moved away when I went to Berkeley, like obviously I can't commute from LA to Berkeley every day. So when I completely moved away, it was very much like, I just very vividly remember my aunts and uncles who are very important to me, like that are all in El Salvador. So it's not just like gender differences, but it's also cultural differences. Like in El Salvador, you don't leave to go to, well, you don't, who knows if you even go to college, right? But it's like, you definitely don't leave. Especially as a woman, like you do not leave, like your place is in la casa, like you never leave. So I just very like much remember my family being like, oh, she's just gonna go and get pregnant, or she's just gonna go and like party. And like, that was very much the mentality of like my family. And it was very hurtful at first, because I'm very much like a goody two shoes and was just like, oh my God, like, ¿cómo creen? Like, how would you ever think I would do that? But then realizing like, at the end of the day, like my mom and my dad sacrificed so much to even give me this opportunity. And if they too, like if my mom and my dad were being like, mija, like, dale con todo, like do what you gotta do, then why am I like stressing over my other extended family? But definitely I did feel like the gender dynamic, and like kind of like my cousins would go away to like, not even college, but like, I don't know, like a weekend somewhere else, and they didn't even know. And it's like, no one said anything to them, but I was going away for like school and a degree, but it was like a really negative thing. So I definitely felt that from like my family. Luckily not my mom and my dad, but like my extended family around me that I was still close to, that was in El Salvador.
I'll share like a little bit. I think similar to Kathy, like I was the first girl from even my cousins to ever like go away for college and live somewhere else. But aside from that, I think my parents had always been very, very supportive. I think a lot of it is they don't understand the higher education system. And so that's something that I really had to explain to them, like how it works, what's community college, what's a 4-year, what's the difference between a UC and a CSU. And it's really hard to explain for them, like, oh, what is sociology? Like you said, Lupita, like, okay. And it's really trying to like, oh, like this is what it is, and this is what it can be used for. Like these are the kinds of degrees I can get. Or even now in my master's, like student affairs, what is student affairs? And there's no Spanish translation for student affairs. I've Googled it plenty of times. But there's like no translation. They're all like, okay, like, so what are you going to LA for? Like, but yeah, I think it's just difficult to explain it. But I think in my case, I was very lucky to have the support of like my family.
Mhm.
Yeah, in my case, my parents and family were always supportive. I think the biggest conflict I had was like not. I have a lot of like nephews and nieces at home, and so for sometimes like birthday parties or parties that they would have at home, and me being in Santa Cruz and not that far away, like the expectation was for me to be there, but sometimes I couldn't. Or even in my master's program, just because I had like things to do or like homework, or I was away and I wouldn't be able to come back sometimes, and like I guess that would create the biggest conflict is not being able to go home, and like be there for those parties and stuff, and like I think they were supportive of it, but like they didn't fully understand like everything I was doing at the time, to finish my degree, or like that I was had to do like 300 pages of reading and like 5 different essays that week, or so I think it was more like a lack of understanding more than not being supportive in my situation.
Mhm. Oh, someone said, "Can I ask a question?" Of course, ask away.
Feel free to ask away.
So my question kind of is directly to Kathy, and it's like how did you get out of that mentality of like not caring, but like putting to the side what like the rest of your family would say about like moving away and all that kind of stuff? Because it's difficult, and I'm kind of like in the same situation.
So Jocelyn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your question. And I'm pretty sure others can answer this too, even if they haven't like talked about similar things. I think for me, it might sound very blunt, but I'm like, they don't pay my bills and they're not doing this journey for me. Like I am, right? So it's kind of like at the end of the day, even to this day, like people were like, oh my God, like my family was like, she stayed in Massachusetts. And I'm just kind of like, I even told my mom, like my mom's like, tu tía dijo eso, and I'm just like, mi tía no me paga mis biles, which means my aunt doesn't pay my bills. I feel like I've come to a space where I realize like I own my own education and I need to ultimately do what's going to make me happy. Because at the end of the day, I know that like my family and sometimes even my parents don't understand, like it's kind of what Tanya said, they don't understand the education system, and that's not on them, right? And it's like they don't understand. I try my best to explain, but there are some things that you can only understand by going through it. And recognizing that like if I'm doing this for me, and I'm like reminding myself, obviously like remembering your roots and remembering who got you to where you are, but also remembering at the end of the day, this is your journey. And if you know that this is the decision that's going to make you happy, you just have to trust that it's the right thing to do. And then like, who knows, like a few years from now, when your family sees you, they're going to be like, oh dang, like, yeah, like I don't get it, but I see it, like, and they'll see your happiness, they'll see your success, they'll see how full you are, and hoping that that's enough. And fact of the matter is, it's not guaranteed, right? You're not guaranteed to have that end happy reaction, but if you are happy and you are doing what makes you wake up every morning and smile, then like, as cheesy as that sounds, it's like very real. Like I wake up every day hella excited to do my job because I love the students I work with, right? And I know that like if I would have done what I thought was like the thing that my family wanted, which is like go to law school, like, yeah, I might be in law school, but I probably wouldn't have liked it, right? So it's kind of like recognizing this is your journey and you have to own it. And people are always going to talk regardless of what you do, realistically, right? Like doesn't matter what you do, where you go, what you study, how you get there. Like people always have something to say, but at the end of the day, it's your journey and you got to own it. And the only person whose opinion needs to matter is your own. But that's hella easier said than done. And I'm pretty sure everybody on here can attest to that, right? Like we've all had someone that's made us be like, oh dang, did I make the right choice? Or I don't care, but you do care. But yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to add to that because yeah.
Can you repeat the question again?
My question was more like, how do you get out of the mentality of like, kind of like in terms of like family support and like having like, you know how like they just put a lot of input into your own life and like they think they know what's best for you and all that kind of stuff. Like how do you like put that to the side while like how do you deal with that basically?
Yeah. Yeah, I just like to add on to what Kathy said. Yeah, just do what makes you happy. Do what you feel comfortable doing. And again, like, people are always gonna talk. Even if you're doing all the right things, people are still gonna talk. I have family members that still talk, and then, I mean, I don't like to finger point, but then I'm like, why are you saying something? I think it's just people just trying to stir up stuff. Just with that family, now that I'm thinking about it, all you gotta do is what makes you happy. My dad always taught me, hey, find a job that's gonna pay well and that you're always going to enjoy going to. So eventually find that passion, find what you want to do, and then just go for it. And if it doesn't work out, find the next opportunity. Something that I've learned recently is that a lot of people do end up having career changes. I grew up with the mentality in high school that once you finish college, you're just gonna get one job after that, and that's it. And that's maybe that's all I knew, or since I'm the oldest, that's the only thing I see. But now that I'm starting to be more exposed, be more informed, I see people changing and even changing their careers. So again, the first bullet point that's still there on the screen, be okay with being flexible and be prepared for change. Like, things are going to continuously change. I might not do school counseling for 10 years, 15, 20, like, I have that in my mind that I do want to, but something's bound to happen, whether it's fortunate or unfortunate. So just being okay with that. And yeah, so I'll just do that piece.
Thank you.
No problem. Hopefully there's any other questions or anything else to add on from others. Don't be shy.
I
Are
guess
there any other? Oh, go ahead.
just in case no one comes up with a final question, um, I'd like to pose, I guess, a final question. Was there ever a moment where you thought, I can't do this? Like, I can't graduate undergrad. I can't, you know, move back home, even. I can't finish my master's. I just can't be this person that I've been trying to be or accomplish these things. Like, was there ever that moment? And then if so, how did you move past that point?
I guess I could go to get us started. As I mentioned, I received a D and an F in one semester. And then I received another D, and it was in biology, which is what I was studying. And, I felt like giving up. But then I reminded myself, like, hey, like, people are depending on me to do well. I'm depending on myself to do well. I got to push through it one way or another. This is all, I'm going to have to get through this. I'm going to have to pass. So definitely, I think that's what kind of instilled in me. And even to this day, like, in grad school, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I gotta do this paper, I gotta do this project. But hey, it's gonna get done. It has to get done, because I want things to still continue. So just kind of reminding yourself that it's gonna be okay down the road, and just continuing to push through. So that would be my advice. Or that's what I've encountered in my experience.
For me, I will say I've thought about that many, many times. A little bit more frequent than I needed to have, I guess, in my head. But that was just, I think it becomes a lot, like the schoolwork, the workload. You're also working at times. So I've definitely had those thoughts many, many times throughout college, even now through my master's program. Even though I'm only like, a month and a half away from finishing, I'm still kind of like, I don't think I could deal with this month and a half. the whole screen changed. But I will say that like my biggest motivator was the sacrifices that my parents had made and all my family has made and my sister has made to get to the point that I am. And like, this is gonna sound so cliche, but I always go back to this like quote because it always like grounds me back to why I'm doing things. So and it's like just when you're about to give up, remember why you held on so long in the first place. And so I think that for me, it always kind of clicks something in my head of like, oh, you're about to give up, but like, why did your parents and why did you do all these things to get you through this journey up to where you are now, right? So like, what was the point of all that if you're just gonna give up like now? During undergrad, it was also like, well, I can't give up now because I already took out loans. And so I think that was also one of my motivators. It's like, well, I got the debt, now I got to finish in order to pay for it. Because I had a lot of friends that dropped out, you know, my first year of college, and they had taken out a lot of loans. And so yeah, I think loans was one of them. And second was just going back and thinking about like all the sacrifices and why I made the decisions I have made up until now. But yeah, definitely family is a big motivator.
So I shall go after Tanya. Definitely like hella similar to Tanya, right? Like I feel like family has always been really important. And yeah, like I literally like same cliche line, but my mom says, like, she says, "Ya hiciste lo mucho, ¿por qué no lo poco?" Same exact thing Tanya just said, right? You've gotten this far, why not? Just like, you have such a short way to go. Like keep pushing. But I always like also think back to like my community as a whole. And like, to be honest, I look at my friends aside from like my family, right, the people that I surround myself with, and see what they're doing, and like just also become really inspired and reminded like how powerful all of our stories are and how much our stories can impact those around us, even if it's not like we don't intend for it to impact folks around us. Like I think about how a simple thing like my mom said to me when I was little is still so engraved in my mind that like I think about that while I'm in class, or I think about that while I'm doing an assignment that feels impossible. But yeah, like there have been so many times when I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I don't want to be here. Like, I just don't care. Like, to be honest, like, I just don't care at this point. And I think those moments are okay because we're human and we're all going to have them. But I don't think it's okay to let yourself forget your own power and forget the people that got you to where you are, because our communities are powerful, and we're literally engraved to believe that there's like something missing or something wrong or something like, you know, from our communities, because we don't see like that many people go to college or like pursue these spaces. So like there's something very subconscious that we're like unsure of, that, you know, we constantly have to be fighting, and that's going to come out. It comes out all the time for like the dumbest reasons, right? Like when I reflect on the reasons why I felt like I couldn't do something, I'm like, yo, like that was a really lame reason, but I'm human, right? Like it's natural for us to like feel down, be stressed. How much stress has this whole situation caused us to feel like, dang, what am I doing, right? But remembering, like Tanya said, your family and the people that got you to where you are, like, and yourself, like you owe it to you to like be the best person you can be and be that example that you might not have had, right? So
yeah, I think Diego, for me at least, I know Diego hinted at like imposter syndrome and like not feeling like you belong there. I think I've had that at every like literally every level, whether that be at the undergrad level, at the grad school level, even now professionally as a school counselor. I'm just like, do I actually belong here as a school counselor? Am I doing like what I'm supposed to be doing right now? Like, am I guiding these students in the right way? And I think I've had it at every single level. I think one of the things that sticks out for me the most is when I was in grad school, I was reading a career counseling book. Or it was a pretty thick book, it was maybe 300 pages or so. And literally at the end of every chapter, there was like an exception paragraph, or a paragraph just saying, yeah, these theories that have been tested and they're true, but they're not applicable for underrepresented groups. and like as myself as a professional, I want to work with people who like look like me and have similar backgrounds or stories as I do. And so as I was reading that book, I was like, wait, none of this entire book doesn't apply to the people I want to work with. So yeah, it was kind of like, and that book kind of just had me thinking like, okay, why am I doing this? And I think it's kind of been hinting at but we've been through generations and generations of our voices being kind of like silenced, and our stories and our testimonials have a lot of power, and we're able to connect with people like in many different ways, and just bringing that voice to light, I think, is really powerful. And just reminding myself personally that I do belong there. Sorry, that was another car. But yeah, just reminding myself that I do belong there, whether that be in undergrad and grad school, professionally, I do belong there. There's other students and people that are going through similar things that I went through, and my journey can hopefully help them in some way.
All right, thank you all. I want to just go ahead and ask if there's anyone else that wants to add anything right before we close out, just because I do want to be mindful. We have already gone over the initial time frame that we had mentioned, definitely. So again, thank you all that have stuck around throughout this whole Zoom presentation / meeting. If there aren't any more questions, or again, if you do have any more questions, but you would like to go ahead and ask them in more private settings, I guess, then feel free to, once we send out that email with everyone else's contact information, feel free to do so. Again, I just want to take the time to, again, thank you all as panelists for joining and meeting some of the great students that I work with, that I have the privilege to work with. And I do appreciate you all for, taking a little bit out of your time to find a way to all bring all of us together. So I do appreciate that. And I do look forward to hopefully in the future, continuing to have these conversations that are definitely important to have everyone listen and to Raul was mentioning, to have our voices heard. So again, I just want to thank you all. It really does mean a lot to me, and hopefully the students were able to learn a little bit more, get a better perspective in terms of where they are in their lives at this point, and where they want to go to next. Because I know they all can do it, and the same way with what you all are doing. Y'all are all doing some dope stuff, and it just like Kathy was saying, it's very inspiring to hear what everyone else is doing and what their goals and aspirations are. So keep moving forward, and I really do thank you all for joining us today. I don't know if there's anyone else that wants to say anything else before we close this Zoom meeting for sure for today.
Nope, just also want to say thanks. I love all of you guys. Thank you for being you and for coming today and sharing your story.
Yes, and thank you guys also for coming. Thanks to the students who stayed on for that extra hour or so, and then thanks Bryant again as our alumni who's on here too, gave us his contact information. Some of our other alumni had to log off as well. I hope you guys will have other chances to do some sort of Zoom other meetings or collaborations, hopefully sometime in the future. And hopefully we all can connect in person at some point as well. So please, everyone, stay healthy and safe.
All right, y'all. Well, I guess that's it for today. Again, thank y'all for joining us today. I will definitely be reaching out to y'all soon and just, appreciating y'all. So again, thank you all. Oh, by the way,
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone and bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie.